broke my mind. I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Kenny Rogers, one of the best-selling musical acts of all time, and we mainly know him as a solo artist. But in his early career, he preferred to sing in groups, and he first made his mark in the country rock band called First Edition. This is the story. Kenny Rogers loved singing harmony as a young boy. He first learned it from his sister while singing gospel songs in church during his Texas youth. Because he loved the sound and blend of harmony, he always preferred singing in groups during the first part of his career. Now in high school, he joined a band called the Scholars. With the Scholars, he got his first taste of recording and releasing songs. Their most successful release was Kanguwa, recorded in 1957.
Kanguwa, yeah, yeah, Kanguwa, yeah, yeah, hear the natives shout, yeah, yeah, Kanguwa, yeah, yeah.
Now eventually, the Scholars broke up, and Kenny tried a brief solo career. He found some local success with a song called That Crazy Feeling.
Oh yes, I've got that crazy feeling.
While he got far enough to find himself on Dick Clark's American Bandstand show one time, Kenny wasn't ready to go solo yet. So, 21-year-old Kenny Rogers was all too happy to join a jazz band called the Bobby Doyle 3, where he sang and played the stand-up bass.
Mammy, Mammy, the sunshine east, the sunshine west, I know where the sunshine best.
Kenny loved playing in the band, and he loved all the different ways the jazz music twisted and turned notes to come up with their unique sound. But as is pretty common with conflicting goals and personalities in music groups, the Bobby Doyle 3 disbanded. Now, Kenny spent the next several years in a jazz band and then a folk band, playing at local clubs and venues. But Kenny had his eyes on something bigger. For some time, he had been ready to get out of the Houston music scene and move to Los Angeles. And he finally got his chance when he auditioned for a band called the New Christy Minstrels. Now the audition was a strange one. He actually auditioned over a payphone while standing in a crowded lobby. But they liked what they heard and hired him. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for watching this video. This Stories of Country Music YouTube channel is growing by the day. We're getting new subscribers every single day, and you can help this channel grow even more by liking this video and subscribing, which simply lets YouTube know people are watching, and they will boost the videos more. So if you don't mind liking and subscribing, I'd certainly appreciate it. Now, back to the story. The New Christy Minstrels were a national act, and before Kenny arrived, they had had a great deal of success, even winning a Grammy. Traveling with the Christy Minstrels opened up a whole new world for Kenny Rogers, and he got his foot firmly in the door of the flourishing Los Angeles music scene. But not long after Kenny joined the Minstrels, he noticed the group had started changing. 3 of the members weren't happy with the group's direction and had their own desire for their careers, and they decided that as soon as their contract was up in 1967, they were going to break away. And Kenny wanted to go with them. He knew they needed a 4th member to complete the harmonies, and with his years of experience in jazz bands, he could hear the harmonies better than any one of them. There was just one problem. Kenny Rogers was too old. That's right, 29-year-old Kenny Rogers was too old for this trio. They wanted a young, hip band, and the fact is, they thought Kenny was too old for their image. So Kenny decided to fix that. He parted his hair down the middle, put on an earring, and started wearing rose-colored glasses on stage. Now, whatever he had to do, he wanted in this new group. And it worked. Kenny Rogers was about to join the country rock band where he would spend the next 10 years of his life. The band was called First Edition. Now, when First Edition was formed in 1967, they were quickly signed by Warner Records and started performing in clubs around LA. Naturally, being in Los Angeles, there were plenty of opportunities to be on the TV circuit, and before long, First Edition appeared in shows like the Smothers Brothers, Harry Como, and Pat Boone shows. Now, First Edition's first hit was in 1968 called Just Dropped In, with Kenny Rogers on lead vocals.
I pushed my soul in a deep dark hole and then I followed it in.
You won't be surprised that recording in Los Angeles, one of the best guitarists of the time played on Just Dropped In. That guitarist was Glenn Campbell. Just Dropped In went to number 5 on the Billboard charts. Now, First Edition had a few more releases in 1968, but they didn't do so well. But then came along this song called Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town. And Ruby was a song about an injured, bedridden soldier who had begged his wife, Ruby, not to go into town to find the love he could no longer give her. It was a dark story that they weren't sure would find any radio play. In fact, the song was recorded at the end of a recording session as an afterthought, just to fill the extra remaining studio time. But First Edition had been playing Ruby in their live shows quite a bit, and they liked the song. Now, some local radio stations had started playing the song, and the response was intense. People kept asking to hear the song again and again. First Edition was pleased with this and wanted to release it to radio, but there was a problem. Their song called But You Know I Love You was gaining traction, and they knew radio stations wouldn't play 2 songs by the same group at the same time. So that's when producer Jimmy Bowen suggested a change that would break other groups apart. Selling the idea that they could have 2 songs on the radio at the same time, they decided to release Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town under the name Kenny Rogers and First Edition. Ruby went to number 6 on the charts and turned First Edition and Kenny Rogers into national stars.
Ruby, are you contemplating going out somewhere? The shadow on the wall tells me the sun is going down.
But little did they know, Ruby was going to be their biggest hit. They released several other songs over the next years, but none of them made it into the top 10. Along the way, members came and members went. Kenny even started his own label called Jolly Rogers to release First Edition's music. But toward the middle of the 1970s, as their success waned, several members wanted to start their own thing. One went through a divorce, another wanted to go solo, and another was attracted to the acting opportunities in Los Angeles. Kenny was disappointed in the breakup, but not angry. He wanted the group to continue, but it just wasn't meant to be. But Kenny remembered his time with First Edition fondly, saying they made memories for life. And First Edition was one of the first bands to gain recognition, playing a new type of rockabilly, eventually called country rock. So in 1975, after 8 years of singing together, First Edition disbanded. And Kenny Rogers was, to be quite frank about it, lost in life. He was going through his 3rd divorce, battling for custody of a son, and his dad had just passed away. Ever since high school, Kenny had never left one group without having another opportunity ready to go. But at 37 years old, Kenny had no idea what he was going to do next. Of course, we all know he would end up becoming one of the best-selling artists of all time, selling over 100 million records, and being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2013. And I'll be making videos on Kenny Rogers' country music career over the next little bit, but that's a story for another day.